Welcome to Steve 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad.
Hi everyone, this is Steve 87th PSAP Railroad, or Puget Sound and Pacific. This is my channel, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along and watch as I build my railroad, build up some kits, do some kit bashing, and running trains like the one behind me. So if this is what you guys like to watch, stick around for a while and see if you like the channel. So today we're going to start our series on building concrete aggregate silos.
So today we're going to learn how we take this paper core from this to aggregate holding silos for our concrete batch plant. So like a lot of model railroaders, I had a little bit of a problem. I had a concrete batch plant. Unfortunately, it's stuck in the middle of a city. And this section over here was going to actually supply my bakery. That's over on this side. So I had to figure out a way to put the aggregate, sand and stuff like that, that feeds this mixing plant someplace where it could actually be accessed. And you can see that there's just not enough room really to put the big piles that everybody's used to seeing. So went out and did some searching and came up with a nice little compromise. So I looked around my local neighborhood and tried to find a solution. This plant in Kenmore, Washington, had a very interesting item that was on their conveyor belt. They had a normal conveyor dumping station, but it wasn't around one that you normally see that dumps in different places. So then I was driving down the highway and I noticed this mixing plant in Renton, Washington. And if you can see here, it's got 6 concrete silos, but it also has the big cover over top of it. And you can barely see some of the works that go on. So I figured I could kind of use the two systems together to make mine. So first things first, the aggregate silos. You can see here that I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to keep this, but these are actually cement type silos. What they are is actually cardboard rolls. I happen to work at a place that we have heavy duty cardboard rolls, so you guys can see these are pretty thick. So they're nice and sturdy and heavy. The problem is when you just try to go to paint them, they're going to have this big hard solid line on them. So what I've done to give them kind of a more rustic and concrete look, I've gone and made them cloth reinforced. Yeah, basically I just used the cloth casting material and just wrapped them around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut these down to size, and we will then turn them into concrete silos. All right, so now we have 4 concrete silos. It came out pretty good. Just got to figure out how to dress these up a little bit before we put them all together. So the next thing to do is clean them up a little bit, and then we're going to put them together in a row and then glue them overnight. So let's get that done. So we're just going to use a little bit of white glue down on the edges to kind of keep the edges from fraying out too much. I cut this with a chop saw, so sometimes it probably got a little heavy there. So let's clean that up a little bit. The good thing is we're gonna have to paint this again, one more time. But we just need to tie those down a little bit so they look better. And then once we get the base on it and this sits on top of the building, it'll be fine. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do those and we'll get these fixed up. Okay, so we're letting the top section dry. You can see that we kind of got the little hairs out of the way a little bit better. And now we're going to go ahead and put these all four together. That's going to be kind of the fun thing, is to glue them all together. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and try to use some of this tacky glue, which dries clear, and is a craft glue, which I understand works really well and actually works through paint, so you don't have to worry about scraping off paint and stuff. So let's see how this works. Okay, so I've got these lightly clamped together. Two of the things that I had to do was I needed to get something to make sure that they would stay in a straight row. And I didn't want to build a whole jig to make sure that they all sat in. And then I wanted to make sure that the glue contacted on all the areas. So this glue dries clear, so it should look pretty cool in the morning. Once it all dries and gets all sticky in there. So let's see how that all works, and we'll be back. Okay, so took the clamps off and looks like the glue held nicely. So one of the things I'm not going to have to do is probably fix up the bottom parts. We're going to go ahead and start making the base and the top at the same time for all of these. Now what's going to happen is, when you imagine how this actually is going to be, this will be sitting up in the air a bit on top of a concrete building, which would actually house the bottom of the tanks, which would be more of a funnel. The top is actually going to be up on the section is going to be closed off. Since this is going to have rock and sand in it, we're going to have a covered conveyor belt that goes across the top, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to have tops that go on this. So we're going to go ahead and cut in some plastic and then start building the top buildings for this. Okay? Okay. So that's going to conclude this week's episode of Building the Silos. Next week, we're going to take a little bit of a turn on what types of materials we use to finish building the silos off. It actually turns out to be a lot better than if I was going to be using the plastic and so forth. So again, I'll edit that one up and get that out to you. So I hope you keep watching, and I hope this was interesting to you. This is Steve, 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad, saying we'll see you again.